Off.
Joe?
Top gear is off.
I think it's off here, too.
Top gear.
Let's go, Joe.
The Krabby Coffee Shop, which has a new, what would we call it?
Episode
tonight, brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1545, May 14th, 2025. Didn't I do the records now? 98 degrees. Boy, why would I forget when to do those? 98 degrees.
We've only done 1,545 of these.
In the year 2013, and back in 1907, they had the blankets on. She was 32 in the morning.
Too cold.
Yeah.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
Doug Heilman from Sioux Falls has a great point about where the Vikings should play in Europe. Does anyone have a light bulb going off in their head like this fellow did?
Norway?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the NFL has been scheduling Vikings games in Europe without even considering Norway. The pregame video at the bank by Jim Marshall describes the Vikings as guardians of the North, while artificial snowflakes float from above with footage of bygone days at the Met when they actually played on a frozen tundra, provided nostalgia and made fans proud of a team named for a group of Scandinavian explorers who were brave, tough, and full of pea and vinegar. Were they without their faults? No, but they represent a heritage shared by thousands of Minnesotans. It only makes sense that the Vikings play in Oslo. It really does.
Well, the only question, though, is do they have a stadium?
They got soccer.
I just looked that up, Chris. Thanks for asking.
You're welcome.
The largest football stadium in Norway is in Oslo, but it only holds 28,000.
That's enough.
No, there's no chance.
That's enough.
Joe,
NFL.
have you met the
Put it
NFL
on
before?
TV. Doug, I liked your
That would
idea.
no, I agree. That's a really great idea, but yeah, it's the NFL.
That's like a Randy Moss. I pee 10 grand. What's 10 grand to me?
But every promoter worries about not filling the house. I mean, are there enough football NFL fans in Norway to fill the house?
Yes. That's why they do these, because there'll be a demand, Ken, big time. Yeah.
All right.
Everywhere.
We've been noting some of the air traffic control concerns in the country.
I'll say.
And we have a friend in Northfield, Carl, who is a very seasoned, longtime military pilot, longtime commercial pilot. I know the guy. I believe what he says. You know what I'm saying?
I think I do. 'Cause he's got the street creds, is what you're
And he
indicating.
writes, regarding your comment, I don't mean to bring people down.
Okay.
Maybe you have big plans.
Sure you do.
No, I really don't. Maybe you have travel plans, and I don't mean this to be a Debbie Downer.
Okay.
Regarding your comments about the recent air traffic incidents in DEI, the collision at Reagan National was caused by the Army helicopter pilot who was 200 feet above her assigned altitude. The tower controller at Reagan could have been more forceful in instructing the helicopter driver to adhere to her altitude, but he did not cause the collision. I could go on a long rant about the Army captain being a very in-your-face lesbian, but that won't bring back any of the lives lost. At Toronto, the Delta, actually Endeavour, plane that crashed and rolled upside down was about 75% due to an incompetent female co-pilot, and 25% blamed to the incompetent male captain for not taking the controls to prevent the crash. I believe there is truth in the criticism of FAA hiring practices, but that has not caused any accidents that I'm aware of. The biggest problem facing the air traffic control system in America is technology and congestion. The infrastructure, radars, control towers, runways, instrument systems, and communication systems is way behind state of the art. Possibly 10 to 15 years behind what would be possible with advanced technology. And there are too many aircraft trying to get into too many airports to maintain safety margins. This problem is especially acute in places like New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. Atlanta is doing pretty well, and that airport has the most takeoffs and landings in the country. But Delta works proactively with the FAA to make things run smoothly. There's your note for travel.
All right.
And whatever he says, I believe.
Okay. I would too.
Yikes.
I haven't been briefed, so I can't really make an official.
I've always wondered
Judgment.
about the congestion, and I know pilots, and they don't seem to have a concern with that.
What do you mean, the
Well,
staying off the runway, landing, and arrivals and departures?
If you time, I love when planes are on a flight path to land here, when I can see them coming in.
They were yesterday at about 2.
Yeah, and I time them. It's about every minute and 10 seconds. The guy landing better be really good because the guy behind him is now going to land.
Right.
So it's they're on a tight schedule.
And they get off those runways pretty darn quick.
So obviously it's still safe. We're not, the world isn't ending, but it sounds to me like they could update their technology quite a bit.
Right.
Maybe they should just download the new, like on your iPhone. Is that the deal?
I have that app where I can see the planes
FlightAware?
going. FlightAware. No,
What are
mine's
you?
called Flight Radar, I think.
Flight Radar. Well, there's FlightAware, Flight Radar.
The headline in the Star Tribune today is Walls bracing for pardon in Floyd murder. And I find myself thinking that headline's a bit of a stretch. There is no official knowledge of, and the pardon apparently would have to come from the president. There is no official knowledge that Trump intends to pardon Chauvin, in which case that could only be from his federal sentence. He'd still have to serve here. But what is being said, and Walls actually said the words, this is something Trump would do. So, on the one hand, I can understand why Walls and Fry and Keith Ellison and all the other usual suspects would react as though in alarm because they would anticipate rioting, even though at the time it happened, they didn't call it rioting. They called it peaceful protest.
Right.
But now they're worried that it could unleash more peaceful protests. I'm feeling duped, and I don't know who's duping me. I feel that they're sowing the seeds of discontent where they may not even be needing to.
Or leading the witness. Or
Well, yeah, they're setting the table for a riotous outbreak, probably not only here, but maybe in many, many places. If Trump decides to pardon Chauvin, they're anticipating all hell will break loose.
why was this even being brought up?
Thank you. Help me, folks. Why is this the play story in today's Tribune?
To me, it's simple, and I think you're on the right track. Just keep talking it out. This, to me, is really interesting propaganda that the CIA has used around the world in other situations where the left is bringing this up just to make, Orange Man look bad and just keep the hatred boiling for conservatives and the left. But when you dig deeper, you see that there's a bit of truth that they've based this nonsense on, and it all comes from Musk and who's that little twit?
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro.
So these
from
are
2 weeks ago, Joe.
social media posts.
Right. Well, Shapiro started didn't he start some sort of campaign, John?
Well, he wanted to start, yes,
A petition or
a
something?
petition
Yeah.
to send to the president to pardon Derek Chauvin,
And-
and that was
And I think
amplified.
that was just enough of something for them to grasp a hold of and prop up and get the media all riled up, and then get all the non-newspaper readers from the left all riled up. And it's been interesting watching it develop, but I think you're right. I think it's nonsense.
When asked by White House reporters in March, so these rumblings have been since March.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was early May.
When asked by White House reporters in March about pardoning Chauvin, Trump said, "No, I have not heard about that."
Oh, okay, March.
Yeah.
Trump, yeah.
Sources told Jay Coles the Minnesota Department of Corrections is ready to pick up Chauvin at a federal penitentiary in Arizona and bring him back to Oak Park Heights in Minnesota to serve the remainder of his 22 and a half year sentence. Over the weekend, Ellison went on MSNBC. What else would he go on?
Right.
To say Chauvin will not be set free. He still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years, and he's going to do it either in Minnesota or somewhere, but he's not getting out, said Ellison. Then on Monday, when asked about the possibility of a pardon just 2 days ago, Walz told reporters no indication whether they're going to do it or not, but I think it behooves us to be prepared for it. With this presidency, it seems like something they would do. Sources also said the city of Minneapolis is almost certain that next week the U.S. Department of Justice will file a petition with the court to end the consent decree over reform at MPD. If that happens, sources said the city would file a brief challenging the DOJ's filing and could then take up to 6 weeks to get a ruling from the judge. So what the powers that be are suggesting is that Minneapolis police would be free of that consent decree that they're working under. And somehow this would rub protesters the wrong way. Right. John, you said, run by me what we were talking about off the air, something about briefing, and we were wondering who's doing the briefing.
Yeah, that's a part of the story I didn't understand at first, and I did find apparently these rumors are what led to all this because Todd Barnett, who's the Minneapolis Community Safety Commissioner, he runs that commission. I found a quote from him and I wrote it down, which seems to indicate the rumors led them to brief these people. He said, quote, "No credible intelligence indicating a pardon is coming, but the city is taking precautions to prepare for any eventuality. We have heard the same rumors as everyone else." So it sounds to me like they just heard the rumors and thought, well, we better have this plan or whatever, and started briefing whoever.
Well, it would be novel of them to have a plan. They didn't have one 5 years ago, so maybe it's wise that they have a plan in store.
Wouldn't there be a better chance, Joe, of the court reversing its findings due to the supposed perjury now of Katie Blackwell? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's problems with the trial, and you would think that would serve as a better chance to set him free than Trump swooping in and letting him go.
If courts determined that there was a fatal flaw in the trial, and but the courts can't pardon Chauvin. The pardon would only have to come from Trump.
Right. It wouldn't be a pardon. It would have to be a retrial, would it not? Yeah.
Well, and would that result in riotous behavior?
Oh my God! Of course it would. Anything other than him serving his full term is going to result in rioting, because in the public's, in the mind's eye, no matter what happened, no matter what the facts are, what's been found out, he is guilty.
To Kenny's point, there were two trials. Did she testify in both or just one? I'm not sure of that. I can look it up and see what I can find.
On a story now. Let me do some digging here.
It was a controversy about what was involved in the training manual.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And she said the knee on the neck was not in the training manual.
And she was backed up by the chief.
And it was in the training manual.
Absolutely. And they had used it in training themselves, yes.
And it's really not on the neck. It's more what? In the base of the neck and the shoulder blade
Upper
area.
shoulder area, yes, correct.
Well, those are splitting some fine hairs.
The
video of Chauvin was powerful.
That was
powerful.
a bystander shot video, and evidently the body-worn camera video was not allowed, if I remember right. Yeah. It's going back a long time. But they had what they thought was video evidence, and they were, for some reason, not allowed to use it. That doesn't make sense now that I've heard myself say it.
When I feel duped, I mean, I would go so far, and this is how pathetic my cynicism has become. I would go so far as to believe Walz would be desperate for a distraction from the failures he's committing day after day as the governor of the state. And so here could come an incident where he could appear to be on top of it, or, preparing a plan right away. And,
he's got wonderful quotes in here. If you're a fan of Governor Walz, you'll love reading this story. You're right, Joe.
Gwen could be ready to smell those burning tires again.
Yes.
I don't know what to think. I think it's. I hope, for the sake of civility, there's a peaceful spring in our future here, but nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing surprises me.
I think we're getting played.
It sure feels like it.
And I think the left, the general left, just the people going about their day-to-day business who are really not on top of things, are getting played by their own people. They're getting all wound up and fired up about something that isn't really going to happen.
And if there was really good reasons to pardon Chauvin, and I'm not suggesting I know the answer to that, and Trump pardoned him, it would still be the evil thing for the Orange Man to do. The public's not going to let Trump off the hook.
Right. No, like we've said, facts be damned in this case.
Mm-hmm. So it sets up, they've certainly set up some intrigue for the next 2 weeks, haven't they?
Yeah, I'll say.
Aren't we coming up on the 5-year anniversary?
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend, you're right.
It makes you wonder what's around the corner. What's the next phony news story they're going to throw in our lap and keep the country divided over. They love when we argue, don't they?
They really do, and I don't know where to take this because I do believe, I hope that they're, I hope I'm being played. I'd rather be played than have a riot.
Yeah, a divided country is good for the people on the third rail. They love that.
Yeah.
And the media.
Brian Banker writes, I just got my Scoot Star electric bike from EcoFun in Forest Lake on Highway 97, just immediately west of 35. I haven't been on a bike since 2004. The wife said, let's go and see what they have. Maybe you can find something that fits you. I sure did, and I love it. Longtime listener from the radio days till now, and I'm now a member.
Of what?
It doesn't say. Don't know why I waited so long. I really enjoy you guys, Brian Banker. I think he must mean a member of the town council.
Oh, for sure.
Another satisfied customer, when he says he found something that fits, I bet he was taken out to the parking lot and said, let's get this straight here.
Let's get it going.
Get you ready for a whole summer of electric bike riding. Those Scoot Stars are so cool. They're all pre-tariff. Tim Bloom got a lot of stuff in this spring before the tariffs hit. And it's all available at EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake in Burnsville. Motorcycles, scooters, electric bikes, jet skis, side-by-sides, helmets, apparel. If you have not been to an EcoFun store, it is really fun. Youth recreational equipment, too. It's just fantastic. It's EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake / Columbus.
Okay.
It's on 97, just west of 35. You go through a couple of those roundabouts and bing, bang, boom, you're right there. And down in Burnsville on the Service Road of Life near County Road 42, and a great website, ecofunmotorsports.com. Go.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
I'm not really ready. I'm looking for an email that I got from our old friend Steve Conrad. Here it is. I love Steve's writing. Hey, Kenny, I saw a pro turf professional making my neighbor's yard look more tidy and attractive this morning. That was yesterday, Tuesday. That neighbor is a GLer, so Dave likely abided your endorsement to do commerce with Pro Turf. That's a fancy piece of writing, Mr. Steve. You're right. And I love when GLers abide and decide to do commerce with Pro Turf. They want the best lawn on the block, and they know you're only going to get that with professionalturf.com. They've been at it since 82. All of us have used it or are using it. And it took our nasty, skanky yards and turned them into the showpiece of the neighborhood. All you have to do is schedule a free in-person lawn care analysis. That ProTurf guy or gal is going to come out, check the situation out, and then come up with a plan just for you that is going to get rid of all the weeds, fill in all the bare spots, and really make that yard a showpiece. Exceptional lawn care, landscape, and irrigation service. Check them out, professionalturf.com.
You know who
I
else
got aerated
abides?
this morning. Sorry, Chris.
Oh, no, go ahead, John.
I got aerated this morning by ProTurf.
Oh,
Came out
nice.
with aeration.
The dude, he also abides.
Yes, he does. The dude abides.
Let's go back to this Chauvin story for a moment because I have a question. The lead of Jay Cole's piece. Multiple sources told 5 Eyewitness News that Governor Walz, the Minnesota National Guard, Mayor Jacob Fry, and Hennepin County Sheriff Dewana Witt have all been briefed on preparations for possible civil unrest if President Trump pardons former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin for his federal conviction of killing George Floyd. All right. Who's doing the briefing?
But isn't that a fancy way of really saying nothing at all?
Right, but if they've been briefed on essentially what is a social media originated rumor, who in the hell's briefing them?
Who's ever in charge at the police station or wherever it is? Yeah, we're answering the phones and we're cleaning our guns and we're taking inventory on our ammo. I mean, what are you doing?
Well, if you go down in the story, though, you can see who's briefing the city, right? The city's Community Safety Commissioner Todd Barnett told KSTP, and then it reads
He
that
doesn't
statement.
know any more than we do.
Well,
No,
but he says, since we've overhauled our emergency management plans and out of abundance of caution are planning for any eventuality. So obviously it's his commission
All right.
that is
All
doing
right.
that.
I guess that's.
Don't we foghorn abundance of caution?
Yeah, we
Oh,
should.
if we don't, we should.
I thought we
need
did.
to.
Yeah, I thought we added that.
Very good.
I don't know about the
Very-
state, though. Who's briefing the state? Is that the Minneapolis people? I have no idea.
Well, the little guy in there, Fry's in there, and poor Melvin, he didn't even make the cut.
Right.
You know, they all lined
He's
up
an
there.
outsider.
They all lined up there to say they're really worried. They're wringing their hands, and poor Melvin didn't even get the call.
Melvin fell into a sinkhole
He's probably down on
downtown.
7th Street shouting for a ladder.
Help!
I'd like to go down there and be a sidewalk superintendent. I got
That's
to go
all-
down and look at that.
Stacy sent a photo. It's all cordoned off now. They've got it. You can't jump in it anymore.
We're talking about a sinkhole that opened up on 7th Street. And leave it to the news gatherers, St. Paul. I don't know who did it. Maybe Fred. I don't know. It was a fun story because it was done in the most positive way possible. The timing couldn't have been better for this sinkhole to develop because the Wild are out of the playoffs, and it's just before the real big rush for the XL summer concert season. This was a great time for the road to
the
disappear.
timing was perfect.
It was perfect.
Perfect timing.
You know what? I admired the slant on that story. I'm trying to have a more positive outlook on the state we live in.
Nice.
Why not turn it into a almost an Explore Minnesota type of thing?
Yeah, it's a
Come
tourist.
on down and see the
It's a
sinkhole.
tourist stop. and
Don't forget to drive around it.
No, the timing couldn't have been better. Wilder done like usual.
Yeah.
And
We'll hear about it next year.
I didn't know there was a concise summer concert series. I mean, the concerts can happen anytime. Yeah, you can get them,
It's nothing.
you know. But that was I really like that.
Let's just say Mayor Melvin Carter put Joe Souchery in charge of the St. Paul Tourism Bureau ad campaign. What would Joe cite outside of Minnesota Wild hockey and events at the XL Energy Center?
I wouldn't know what to tout. What is there?
What would it be?
Fun times in Cleveland today.
Come on down, see a river on fire. May I tell you that people in the education business have been providing us with some good material. We had the kindergarten teacher yesterday who was alerting us to the idea that the wee ones have been inspired or are going to be inspired by taking a climate literacy session. And now I have this note. Let's see if we say no name here. I'm going to leave it out. Mayor, please enjoy this 1-minute clip of cultural competency. In 2020, the cultural competency area was added as a requirement from likely preschool to 12th grade staff. On a Minnesota teaching license, there are 8 check boxes to complete, as well as 125 clock hours to obtain in a 5-year window. I needed to find a module, guest speaker, in-service training or workshop to satisfy this cultural competency area on a K-6 teaching license. I was directed to take this online training, which you're about to hear. I was directed to take this online training, which in total was 1.5 hours long. We only have a bit of it, obviously.
About 45 seconds.
We're not going to play 1.5 hours, which was 1.5 hours long, with a quiz to pass and at 80% or better to get credit. Please enjoy the video and provide a Garage Logic take. Here's to hoping Tiananmen Tim Walz takes his talents out of Minnesota sooner or better. All right, and this is what Michael, I can give the first name. This is what Michael had to sit through. This is part of what he had to sit through in order to just get his license.
Marla used the term white fragility. This term was new to many of us. We discovered white fragility refers to the defensive reactions or discomfort that some white individuals may experience when confronted with discussions about racism or their racial privilege. It suggests that because white people are not accustomed to conversations about race, especially ones that challenge their worldview or position of privilege, they may respond defensively, feel uncomfortable, avoid talking about it altogether, deny that racism exists, or even become hostile.
This is teacher training, Joel.
Thank you. So if I rolled my eyes at her, would that be
that's because
white
of your
fragility?
Well, it's because of your white privilege. That's why you would do that. I never heard racial privilege before. That's a new one.
Couple of points.
What do you?
One, not surprisingly, white privilege, as it might be defined by the woman giving this little talk, is a given. That's not even up for debate. That's a given. And two, I don't know, based on the likes of her and many millions more like her, what the hell do you want?
What's a perfect scenario in your world?
What do you want?
Right.
What byplay between white and black people would meet your approval? Let me keep going. If they're going to, if she's going to analyze the body language, the facial expression, the verbal responses, well, that is it the way your hair's combed? Do you have ear hair? Where is this going? What? This is why I wanted. John doesn't like me to call him Cesar. Who's the Chavez guy in Minneapolis?
Jason.
This is why I want the likes of Jason Chavez to come in. What do you want? What world do you envision? They don't have there, and I contend there is no answer to that question. Because if there was an answer and you achieved it, then this gal, for example, is out of business. We don't need her to say this ridiculous stuff. Now play it once more and listen for key words that would be impossible to debate with her.
Marla used the term white
Oh, wait,
fragility.
stop. I think she's starting out. Marla used the term.
I think Marla would be a character
Yeah.
that she's assessing throughout this entire program.
Right. This is one of those dreadful things we've all had to attend in our lives where you go for the,
Although usually I have to take it for you.
well, I won't go anymore. The hell with them. I'm not going. I told you my favorite one, didn't I?
Which one?
It wasn't really one of these deals, but it was a big meeting the St. Paul Pioneer Press had back when the paper was real. And it was
When he had a building?
It was a big meeting on how to compete with the Star Tribune, and it was mentioned at some time that the Star Tribune puts their paper in little plastic sleeves when they deliver it to you, and we weren't doing that. And then it goes on and on and on. How should we do this? And so I finally raised my hand and said, why don't we just put our paper in plastic sleeves that we take off the Minneapolis paper?
Love that.
And then I didn't have to attend that meeting
Got
anymore.
it. We were done.
You were asked no longer to return.
That's like doing the laundry once and it comes out pink. Never have to do it again.
Okay, that is brilliant, Such. Good job.
You see two papers on the stoop, and one of them's a Tribune. Take the sleeve off and put it on our paper.
That is awesome.
That's
Joe.
right. Now back to this. I believe she's referring to somebody named Marla, and I suppose Marla is the test case into driving home the point of white fragility.
Marla used the term white fragility. This term was new to many of us. We discovered white fragility refers to the defensive reactions or discomfort that some white individuals may experience when confronted with discussions about racism or their racial privilege. It suggests that because white people are not accustomed to conversations about race, especially ones that challenge their worldview or position of privilege, they may respond defensively, feel uncomfortable, avoid talking about it altogether, deny that racism exists, or even become hostile.
This is teacher training, Joel.
Thank you. First of all, the term is just completely invented, fragility, white fragility. Secondly, when are these what racial discussions is she referring to? Are they happening in a classroom?
That's what my guess would be, is that this was taking place in a classroom.
I wish I knew who this woman was. She's probably part of some consulting firm that produces these videos that teachers seeking licenses have to sit through and endure. So what do you want, lady? What the hell are we supposed to do?
We already discussed this before the break. She wants us to be at each other's throats so she can keep making money doing this bullshit.
Yeah, this is such BS.
Yeah, it's complete nonsense. And she profits when, we're fighting with each other.
And everything she said, she says with conviction as though these are all known, definitive aspects of the relationship between blacks and whites.
So
we just know we're black, so we know you're defensive. We know that you're fragile. We know you don't want to talk about this. We know that you get away with not talking about it because of your privilege. We know everything about you. You do, huh? I'll be damned.
It's like, has she ever existed in a normal neighborhood where the blacks and whites are hanging out together, making fun of each other's kids?
No,
and
haven't.
trying to snow blow your neighbor's driveway before he can get out there with his news?
Absolutely.
They have no concept of our lives.
This is an industry.
Yeah.
And it's perpetuated by this kind of BS that teachers have to endure. But this is also happening in corporations. I'm sure that, U.S. Bank or Target probably calls all the employees into a auditorium room once every month, and they got to see some of this BS. Why? Because someone's sent them a proposal for a consult.
Well, white fragility, why it's so hard.
It's BS.
Why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism is a 2018 book written by Robin DiAngelo about race relations in the United States. An academic with experience in diversity training, DiAngelo coined the term white fragility
Of course
in 2011.
Is it a male who wrote this?
I don't know if Robin is a...
Oh, okay.
White Fragility interviews racism in the U.S. as systemic and often perpetuated subconsciously by individuals. She recommends viewing racism as committed intentionally by bad people.
What if I'm in a meeting? I'm a teacher aspiring to my license, and this is one of the hour and a halves I have to complete. So I'm in the room and I'm watching this, and what if a bird captures my attention outside the window? And what if I begin staring at it? And
this, by the way, this has actually happened on GL when you were broadcasting from home.
Oh my God!
But go ahead.
It can't happen. and so, what she would accuse me of is subconsciously ignoring race, when the fact would be, no, I'm consciously admiring a bluebird. I think you're full of BS. I'm consciously admiring the bluebird. But it brings me back to my question. What would satisfy the likes of this woman?
I think what satisfies her, since you brought it up, would be that dumb broad down in Rochester on the playground with the kid.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of thing that would be deeply satisfying to her and keep her focused on her mission, when in fact the woman was just a complete idiot. Well, no, you know what? Even that's letting her off the hook. Yeah, that's letting her off the hook. That's not enough.
But she's also an outlier, right? I mean,
I would like to think so.
But I guess what I'm saying is we all, or not all, but so many people want to point to that and say, see. Well, no, the vast majority of the American public isn't like that.
That's not us. Yeah.
Robin DiAngelo is female. She is 68 years old. She was born into a working-class family in San Jose, the youngest of 3 daughters.
Is she African American?
She's not. She lived with her mother in poverty until mother's death from cancer.
Until she figured out this race scam.
Well, then she was a single mom with 1 child in her mid-20s, worked as a waitress. In her youth, she believed that poverty led to class oppression, although it was only later in life that she believed she was benefiting from white privilege, even while being poor and white. In 2018, DiAngelo stated that her experience of poverty would have been different had she not been white.
And I take it the book became a big hit in the Academy.
It must have been.
Yeah.
Her notable works,
Gangbusters,
White
yeah.
Fragility, academic work, Whiteness Studies, Critical Discourse Analysis.
I've heard a few different comedians that grew up in the ghetto or in the trailer park. And they all said the same thing. They didn't recognize race because they all had one thing in common. They were all broke.
They're all poor.
Yeah, we're all very, very poor.
It's a great equalizer.
Yeah. I wonder how she would feel if she rolled through a neighborhood and saw a Mexican dude, a white dude, and a black dude with the grill going, smoking big cigars, swilling liquor, drinking beer, getting along great. I bet she would hate that, wouldn't she?
It really burst her bubble, wouldn't it?
She'd go in there and start looking for problems.
It almost has a sharp point which says, don't you dare think we'll ever get along.
Bingo, right there. Yep, that's what it says.
In June of 2020, during the Floyd protests, White Fragility reached #1 on the New York Times list.
Really?
Perfect timing for that book, huh?
And just think, it could happen again, according to Cockwomble.
Maybe she's going to do a reprint.
Make hay while Lake Street is burning.
Any relation
the phrase would be.
Any relation to Beverly?
Distant cousin.
Got it.
DiAngelo?
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation.
Could I enter the conversation just for
I
a
wish
minute?
you
John,
would.
Oh, good. Right before a break. Thanks,
Hey,
John.
no man, there's a guy behind the curtain.
I would like to believe that the best, most of us are good in this respect.
Who are you excluding in most of us, by
But
the way?
not this show.
Oh, okay.
But the woman in Rochester thing, if she's an outlier, who gave her $700,000?
That's one of the reasons why I hate social media and
The internet.
because it gives a voice to these complete morons who don't deserve a voice.
Yeah.
Well, here's the sad truth. she's probably not an outlier.
Yeah.
But she is in the minority.
And then
I
I
would
think-
hope so. I
Two
pray
things can
so.
be true at once. She's not an outlier, but her numbers are not exceeding the numbers of goodness, I would say.
No, I would agree with that, and I would hope certainly that is true.
But yeah, I don't know why she got the dough. I have no idea.
Was the
I
child
only gave her $100.
Jesus, Joe. Was the child and the father?
Kidding, folks. You euphorians
He's
agreed with your lips
He
moving.
doesn't even know her.
Was it a Somalian? Is that
No.
Is that,
Oh, you mean who she was picking on?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I believe it was an African American gentleman, Kenny.
so? In my fantasy world, this guy steps up and punches her right in the throat, and then I wonder what would have happened then.
Then I suppose she
then he'd be
needs
in
the
jail.
$700,000 for the lawsuit and medical bills.
Yeah, and then he'd be in jail. But that's what she deserved.
Here's the beauty of Garage Logic. That'll never happen in Garage Logic. And no teacher in Garage Logic has to sit through this jumbo wobble. You don't have to in GL.
That's right.
Can you spell and
Can you read, write, and can you arithmetic?
Arithmetic.
say if you need work on your garage door, give Precision Garage Door a look and listen and call. Precision Garage Door serves the western Wisconsin area, the entire metro, even as far down as where Reavers lives. They take care of everything you need for your garage door functioning perfectly. They inform you when they're on their way. They do a bang-up job if you need a new garage door. Precision Door has models for every budget. They'll send the designer out, and that's free. You don't bring the door to them. You don't bring the
Yeah, I hope
garage
not.
to them.
It's hard to do that.
I know. And just think what a new door would do. And they have models for every budget. And right now, if you get a new door, Precision Door is throwing in the new motor for that door. That's a value of more than $760. Book online at Precision Door MN. That's one word, precisiondoormn.com. Or call Precision Door at 612-263-6985.
Well, in between, John.
Yes.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
How about this, ladies and gentlemen? Guess who's back in 2025?
Shady.
Our good friends at Harmony Spirits are
Harmony.
back on Garage Logic. And you know what?
Nice.
I'm excited. We had a phone conversation with
Good, because
Larry.
I'm due.
Cash call.
Jeez, unbelievable.
Here's the deal. Harmony Spirits, they've been proud supporters of GL and the Weekly Scramble for some time. They make bourbon, whiskey, vodka, and gin, all the way from grain to glass with Minnesota-made ingredients. They also have a fantastic tasting room in their distillery in beautiful Harmony, Minnesota.
Which is a neat drive.
It really is. And now here's the Joe. The kid's got
Yes.
a tournament down in Albert Lee.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, we're going to have to swing through Harmony,
Yeah,
son, on the
yeah.
way home to Jordan.
It's not out of the way. Not at all.
But the neat thing about if you stop down in the tasting room, and GLers, by the way, have always been stopping in, so thank you very much. They've got a great roster of drinks, including their world-famous blackberry bourbon lemonade and barrel-aged old-fashioned. And they also have drinks pre-made. You can pick up a 4-pack and take them home with you.
What was that one? First one?
The first one is the blackberry bourbon lemonade.
They got any for mocktails?
Yes, they do.
Oh.
Ask Damon if he's in the tasting room. He'll make you a nice mocktail. All summer long, Harmony will have food trucks and live events. So if you're heading down to southern Minnesota, make sure that you schedule a stop at the Harmony Spirits tasting room. And some big news, too, from our guys at Harmony Spirits. They're actually featured in the Netflix series Cactus Canyon. So if you look carefully in scenes from the bar, you'll see Harmony right there on the shelf. Harmony Spirits is the preferred distillery of Garage Logic. Ask your liquor store to stock up or just head down to the Harmony Spirits tasting room. Check out their Facebook page. They do a really good job of updating live events on there. And also visit their website, which is harmonyspirits.net for more information. Welcome back, Harmony
I
Spirits.
should have asked them if they make that Knoxville moonshine that I passed on a couple of weeks ago. 165.
Ooh, here's John
The
Height.
guy that lived next door.
Where's Dad?
Thanks, Joe. This update is brought to you by North American Banking Company.
Don't sass.
Don't sass.
That would have been it for sure.
In sports news, Timberwolves and Warriors tonight, Target Center, game at 8:30.
I'll play a game at a decent hour.
Wolves lead the best-of-7 series 3-1. If they win, they will move on to the Western Conference Final.
How big an upset is it that Indiana beat Cleveland?
Big in the sense that it was a 1 seed going down, but Cleveland has a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
But Indiana's good. Indiana has a good basketball team.
And a baseball note, Pete Rose, officially off MLB's ineligible list and has a clear path to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, assuming Cooperstown actually wants him. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred ending a decades-long saga Tuesday by announcing he will reinstate all deceased members of baseball's ineligible list. So that includes Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and several others. The decision reversed Manfred's prior decisions that specifically turned down reinstatement for Rose and Jackson. He was ineligible, of course, Pete Rose, that is, after betting on his own team when he was manager of the Reds. He'd been offered a deal to exonerate himself years ago if he admitted to betting on the team. He wouldn't, but then admitted years later he did bet
He
on
really
the Reds.
blew it. Why didn't he just do it so they would have said, okay?
Not a terribly bright guy.
No.
Being ineligible did not mean he couldn't be in the Hall of Fame. They are a separate entity for Major League Baseball, but there's an unwritten rule that the Hall won't accept players who are banned from the MLB. Rose, Jackson, and the other people reinstated will have their first real chance at Cooperstown in December 2027, when the Classic Baseball Era Committee meets again. They will need 12 out of 16 votes from the committee to be part of the Hall of Fame class of 2028.
What say you, Mr. Former Baseball Hall of Fame voter? You putting him in?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody says
A lot of
he
good
was-
it does him now.
Right.
Everybody says he's a bad guy. He was a bad guy. I can't find any examples. Tell me, other than the betting, why was he a bad guy?
I think there were some domestic problems.
Yeah.
There was when he was dating the gal who was under 16 when he was 40. That kind
that's
of
a little
stuff,
tough.
You know,
Ken,
watch
all
the
you need to do is-
documentary about him, Kenny.
Yeah, read quotes from his own son.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his own kid's not a fan.
Because I've Googled what are some of the bad things Pete Rose did, and it's all gambling. It's no mention of anything else.
If you watch that 2-part documentary on Netflix, you'll find some things you think are
You know, the
strange.
temptation was to
All right.
say, what's the problem? He was betting on his team to win. But that still could result in the manipulation of pitching.
Yes.
You know, and it's a bad deal.
On his Wikipedia page, although small for his age, Rose earned the starting running back position on his freshman football team when he was not promoted to the varsity football team in his sophomore year. He was dejected and soon lost interest in his studies. And according to Joe, I wonder if he has a complex mind, he ended up repeating his sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, he did. They held him back.
MLB is also promoting the new Pete Rose DraftKings special. Get 14% off
we
your
go.
first betting
Yeah.
voucher online with the code Pete Rose.
Give me a 2-teamer
Is
at
that
12
true?
to 5.
No, but it's just
That sounded true to me.
Thank you, John.
You got me.
John,
you
thank
got
you.
me.
That was
And
beautiful, Chris.
Shoeless Joe, what was his deal other than he liked to
Well,
be
the whole
barefoot?
club threw the World Series.
Yeah, but history has seemed to exonerate Joe. He hit 400 in that
Yeah.
World Series and
Yeah.
didn't appear to throw it like everybody else.
Well,
But,
I don't know. They were the Black Sox.
Maybe he
weren't
was
they?
the mark.
it's like
he was
I
the
get
mark.
it's like I get blamed for hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
He got blamed for hanging out with the
Hey,
rest
Well,
of the team.
yeah, we also get blamed for hanging out with you. I mean,
No,
yeah,
the
was
ultimate
hurtful.
guilt by
goes both
association.
ways.
That's hurtful.
What was,
John, you want to resume the
wait,
news?
what was my
Sure.
ultimate guilt of association?
you didn't get in one of Jesse's movies.
I didn't get to, I didn't get to go have dinner
With
You didn't
who?
get the beer
because
either.
of you and Pat.
Oh,
I didn't get the dinner at the.
Oh, that's right.
And that was just, yeah, you're still with Such and Royce. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Governor Turnbuckle. What?
in news, the wildfires burning across far northern Minnesota have nearly doubled in size from yesterday, with 40,000 acres now having been burned as of early this morning. Windy and dry conditions making it tough for fighter fires to extinguish flames. According to a fire monitoring app called Watch Duty, the Camp House Fire, as of Wednesday morning, has burned nearly 15,000 acres around the community of Brimson. On Monday, that fire was only at 1,500 acres. St. Louis County Sheriff's Office says more than 140 buildings have been damaged, and they told WDIO, our friend's sister station there, that there are suspects in that fire's start. The Minnesota DNR is leading the investigation. Many people packed up their homes to escape another fire, the Jenkins Creek fire, which Watch Duty says is more than 20,000 acres in size. And a third fire, the Munger Shaw fire, has now reached 1,600 acres in size.
On the news last night, I saw some of this attributed to the destructive nature of a certain caterpillar that's been eating pine trees. So it eats the new shoots, and then suddenly the pine tree is much drier than it should be and becomes fuel for fire.
Interesting. Story we talked about earlier, our buddy Jay Coles downstairs at 5 Eyewitness News says multiple sources are saying that Governor Walz, Minnesota National Guard, Mayor Jacob Fry, and Hennepin County Sheriff DeWanna Witt have all been briefed on preparations for possible civil unrest if President Trump pardons former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin for his federal conviction of killing George Floyd. When asked back in March by White House reporters about pardoning Chauvin, President Trump replied, "No, I have not heard about that. A federal pardon would not have any effect on his state sentencing in the case." Sources also told KSTP the Minnesota Department of Corrections is ready to pick Chauvin up at the penitentiary in Arizona, bring him back to Oak Park Heights Prison to serve the remainder of his 22-and-a-half-year sentence here in Minnesota if he is pardoned on the federal charge. From the Star Tribune, Minneapolis Council member Katie Cashman, one of the more progressive council members, says she's staying in the race, even though she did not win the Minneapolis DFL party's endorsement. Minneapolis Park Commissioner Elizabeth Schaefer won the endorsement with about 61% of the vote during Saturday's Ward 7 convention. Schaefer has been endorsed by all of Minneapolis, a more moderate group aligned with Mayor Jacob Fry. All 13 city council seats and the mayor are on the ballot in November. While the endorsement of the Democratic Farmer Labor Party doesn't carry any legal weight, the party nod is sought after in the overwhelmingly Democratic city. But candidates have won without it before, like Councilmember Andrea Jenkins' victory over her DFL-endorsed opponent in 2023. In Chisago County, thousands of taxpayers are wondering what happened after the county made a mistake calculating this year's property tax refunds, and now many will have to refile to get everything they're due. Teresa Piotrowski from Harris, Minnesota, says there's no accountability, no responsibility. She received a letter from the Chisago County Auditor Treasurer saying the county had made an error on one of the lines used to calculate property tax refunds. Like many others, now she'll have to file an amendment to get the refund. She's owed about $200. She said, and I think we've used this line many times on the show, they are very active about coming after you if you make a mistake, but if they do it, you're on your own.
Isn't it nice to know, Joe, that it's not just Ramsey and Hennepin County?
What's that, Chisago County?
Chisago.
Chisago County Auditor Treasurer Bridget Conrad admits this mistake has caused confusion and frustration for many taxpayers. She said, "I've said this to many people on the phone. We apologize. We are all human. Errors do happen. We figured it out and tried to get things out and corrected statements as soon as possible."
Carlton, Carver, Cass, Chippewa, Chisago, Clay, Clearwater, Cook, Cottonwood, and Crow Wing are your C counties.
It's a lot of C counties.
There are a lot of C counties.
Why don't we take a quick break here and hear from Mr. Mikulski.
Thank you, Mr. Height. Welterheating.com is a website that you should maybe post on your fridge or post on your AC unit, your furnace before you shut her down. You want to make sure that when you get in touch with the welterheating.com that you just peruse. They've got a blog that may help you actually answer a question that you have. So you don't have to call them. If you want to call them, a human being answers the phone during business hours, and that's 612-825-6867. Rick and the whole crew over at the Welter Heating, they've got over almost 120 years of experience, and it's 4 generations that work. Certified techs, yep, they'll come out and work on that unit for you, and they really want to stress, don't mess around with closing out your furnace if it's making funny noises, doing something, not performing properly. Yes, you've got about 6 months before you turn it on again, but that's the perfect time to call Welter. And firing up that AC unit, if that's the way you put it away last year, don't mess around. It's going to be hot this summer, and you can cool down with welterheating.com. 612-825-6867. They advertise in Garage Logic, so if you're in the metro area, hire them out to work on your furnace, your AC unit, or your air purification systems. Welterheating.com. Don't forget, when you got a burp, you want to warm up your shelter with the fine folks at Ray and Welter.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
There's going to be a test after this little ad here for Seafoam. Keith in Montana, he found a new use for Bugs Be Gone. He used it to remove soot caused by an oxyacetylene torch that he had to heat up and remove it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's soot.
Soot, S-O-O-T, soot. And this formed after he used an oxyacetylene torch, and sounds like Bugs Be Gone worked great to clean up that sooty mess. You know what? And instead of being a mansplaining pain in the ass regarding why there was soot while using oxyacetylene, I'm going to instead applaud Keith because Bugs Be Gone is noted for the easy removal of all sorts of organic stuff, you know, like sticky tree sap, goo, or bird excrement. Now we know it works on oxyacetylene soot. By the way, are you new here? Here's the Bugs Be Gone hack, life hack. You get some Bugs Be Gone, then when you get to the gas station to fill up, before you do that credit card thing, spray down the entire windshield with Bugs Be Gone. Then get the pump fired up. Then by the time you're done doing that, the bug bond will have broken and you'll be able to wash the window with the squeegee the way you normally do. Jesse Bunker, he's the Gumption County appliance technician. He used Seafoam Deep Creep to revive a fishing reel, and then he did what we all do. He walked around looking for other things to zap with Deep Creep. He found all sorts of things, including the squeaky wheels on the upright dirt and dust sucker that the DA uses. That's why when you go to the convenience store or you go to the big box store, the auto parts store, get the GL kit, Seafoam Motor Treatment, Seafoam Bugs Be Gone, and Seafoam Deep Creep. 3 can't live without items, all from our friends at Seafoam.
Thank you, Kenny.
Just a minute, John.
Here is the quiz for any one of you. Spell acetylene.
I will in a minute. Here.
Be patient. It's a long one.
Soot or suit.
Oh, no, there's 2 pronunciations?
Apparently there is. This is dictionary.com.
And you can't say sooty. You say sooty.
Let me try to take a crack at
Or
acetylene.
What is it again? Sorry, say it again, Kenny.
Acetylene.
I'm just going to pass.
A-C-E-T.
I have 2.
Why?
I have A-S-S.
You have S.
E-T-E-L-I-N-G.
I think John.
I'm coming up with A-C-E-T-E-L-Y-N-E.
You are wrong.
A-C-E-T-Y-L-I-N-E.
You are wrong.
Damn.
How do you spell it?
John is right about the Y part, but then it's L-E-N-E.
A-C-T.
No, A-C-E-T-Y-L-E-N-E.
Acetylene.
Okay, that's not that bad. That's not that tough.
And in my head, I could see the Y, but I couldn't see the rest. You know what I mean?
If I was an Indian child, I would have had it right off the bat at the spelling bee.
How about
What does that mean?
A-C-E-T-Y?
Because the Indian kids always, as in the country of India, always win the spelling bee.
Oh, that sounds like white guilt
It's just
talking.
easier to look
No,
it
it's
up.
my white privilege, and I have no interest in discussing anything with you because I'm too fragile.
A colorless, pungent-smelling hydrocarbon gas which burns with a bright flame
Matt, we know what it is.
used in welding.
Matt, John's going to do the
Do you
news
know how to
now.
spell it?
Okay.
Yes, I do.
T-I-X. I know how to spell it.
I'm really sorry I brought it up, Joe.
Thanks,
Jeez.
Ken.
So are we.
Thanks, bro.
In news from the national and international bent, President Donald Trump has said the U.S. has no stronger partner than Saudi Arabia during his first major foreign trip. A whirlwind visit continuing today of Gulf countries, mainly focused on shoring up investment. Speaking in Riyadh, Trump also pledged to lift all sanctions against Syria, saying it was now time for that country to move forward with a chance at greatness. He met with Syria's new leader, Ahmad al-Shara. That has caused some criticism, even from Republicans. Shara is a former al-Qaeda militant. He gave his first media interview back in 2013. At that point, he told Al Jazeera Syria the state of Syria should be run according to Sharia law.
Did he have a machine gun with him with the strap around his shoulder when he met him?
Asked about his views on September 11th, the attacks as they happened, Shara said anybody in the Arabic or Islamic world who said he wasn't happy would be lying to you.
And this is the guy Trump's, he speaks fondly of him?
Well, he said, quote, he's got the potential. He's a real leader, and called him a young, attractive guy. with a strong past.
Whoa.
Oh, boy.
Day one of the tour saw the U.S. and Saudi Arabia announce a $142 billion arms deal, as well as other investments that the country's crown prince said could eventually be worth $1 trillion. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky will be in Turkey this week for peace talks with Russia. The talks, scheduled for tomorrow in Istanbul, will be the first direct negotiations between the two countries since shortly after the war broke out in early 2022. Russian President Vladimir Putin proposed the negotiations Sunday in response to European pressure for a 30-day ceasefire. Putin has punted on whether or not he'll attend the negotiations. Delegation reportedly will be led by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Putin's offer was meant to forestall fresh sanctions on Russia's oil and financial sectors from the UK, Germany, Poland, and France. Those countries say they now intend to levy the sanction if talks fail to deliver a ceasefire.
When Trump opens his suit coat when he's talking to one of these Arab potentates, has he got a lot of crap for sale hanging there, like a watch and his
Stamp,
meme coins and his
Yeah.
Bible and stuff? He got all hanging there with little price tags on it?
Streaming news. ESPN is launching a standalone streaming app this fall. They will call it, imaginatively enough, ESPN. It will allow sports fans to subscribe without needing a cable or satellite TV package. The service will be $29.99 a month and include all access to all of ESPN's linear channels and content, including live games, studio programming, and fantasy products. It will also be bundled with Disney Plus and Hulu at a combined price of $35.99 a month, with a promotional rate of $29.99 for the first 12 months for new subscribers.
You know what ESPN stands for?
I don't.
BS.
Entertainment Sports Network. Yes.
What's the P?
Never
Production
mind.
Network.
Entertainment.
It's the second
I
letter
thought
in
I knew
sports.
it. Entertainment-
It's the second letter in sports.
Entertainment Sports Programming Network.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers Discovery is
Before you ask a question like that, you should probably know.
Hey, you're right. I got it.
Got it. You got
He
it.
got there.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
We talked to the doctor. He's just going to make a slight adjustment with your medication. We'll be
Okay,
fine.
that's good.
Just a little one.
Warner Brothers Discovery is rebranding its streaming service to HBO Max again.
Oh, God.
Why are you talking about all of this?
I think
Because-
you're trying to trigger me, aren't you, Height?
No, I don't want to know any of
don't-
this.
Don't even try, Height.
Who
I'm
cares?
headed up to here with the internet.
This has been a topic of discussion at my house for the last year.
Well,
This
then I
HBO.
don't care.
Keep it
I don't
under
care.
your own
this
roof.
is a private discussion. You shouldn't bring it out in public.
The
I
inter-
want to strangle the internet.
It's HBO. What's it got to do with the internet?
I don't know, something.
Home box office.
The entertainment.
What does HBO stand for?
Home box office.
Very good. The entertainment company said today it would return to the service's original name because, remember, it dropped HBO in 2023.
Well, what's the original name?
HBO. It's been
they
called
went with-
Max
Do you
for
know
the
what
last
HBO
year.
Do you know what HBO stands for?
Home box office.
Oh, my God. Anyway, they dropped the HBO last year and became just Max.
And that was confusing because that reminded me of Cinemax.
Yes. It
That's
was very
like when Coke
confusing.
changed and went to the real
Yeah,
Coke or
no,
something.
New Coke.
New Coke, yeah.
There's
What about
long-
Hulu? What does Hulu stand for?
I don't know.
There's long been a debate inside the company and across the industry about the decision to originally drop HBO from the name of the streaming service, given how well established that brand had been. So now it goes back to HBO Max.
That was a long story, John.
To come full
I
circle.
wish to hell I had another streaming story, but I don't.
You.
I know you do.
So
See, you would do it on purpose, too, to just irritate us.
Just
Yeah.
try.
So tonight, when you're watching the NFL schedule release party on
I'm not
ESPN,
going to be watching that.
But
What
apparently
did
the
you
hot,
just say, Chris?
they always every year they have
no,
oh yeah
no,
oh yeah
no.
But the
no.
big hot rumor is that all
Are you serious, Clark?
I am serious.
Is this on TV?
Not only is there a regular show but they have a pregame to kind of speculate
No.
on where.
There's playoff games tonight on hockey on ESPN, isn't there?
But the
Basketball,
big
too.
rumor is that all 3 games on Christmas Day are all going to be streaming only.
Good. Then nobody can watch them.
People are going to be outraged.
Upraged. Ford.
I'm going to the sports section. Go ahead, John.
Ford is is recalling nearly 274,000 of its Expedition and Lincoln-branded Navigator SUVs across the U.S. because they may lose brake function while driving. That's dangerous.
Did we cover the Chevy recall on
did not,
for engine problems? Yeah,
No.
really big deal.
According to documents published by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the front brake lines in the now recalled cars may be in contact with their engine air cleaner outlet pipe due to a potential installation defect, and that results in brake fluid leaking and a loss of brake function. The recall will cover 223,315 Expeditions and 50,474 Navigators between the model years 2022 and 2024. Ford expects that just 1% of the vehicles have the defect, according to a recall report that is dated last Friday.
All right, ESPN, 6 p.m., Florida at Toronto. ESPN, 8:30 p.m., Edmonton at Vegas. There's no schedule show
The
on.
2025 NFL schedule is being released on Wednesday, May 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central.
Well, not on ESPN.
You can watch the release on NFL Network and
Okay.
ESPN2, or, Joe, you can stream it on NFL Plus.
All right.
Which way are you going to go? NFL
I'm
Plus?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can watch it on the Deuce.
Yeah.
The Vikings have 2 back-to-back games in Europe next year. Did you see that?
Yeah. Did you hear the beginning of the show?
Well, I
today?
did, but you didn't
About
reference
Norway?
that.
About
You just
Norway?
said Norway, yeah, and you didn't really say anything.
I think I might make the trip.
Let me ask you something.
driving?
Let me ask you something. This schedule show, let me take a crack at what they do. They break down what that game would be like. Oh, for Pete's sake. Cincinnati's got Cleveland in week 4. They got. Are you kidding me?
That makes me violently angry.
I understand, Kenny.
And
It's
watch.
it
will outdraw the World Series.
Oh, easy.
it'll outdraw the damn hockey playoffs.
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to get, I didn't want to make you even more angry.
Thanks, Johnny.
We think.
Thanks for
You
nothing.
really did a good job making us angry.
Yeah, thanks for nothing.
That's my job. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, when you're trying to save up money,
What about it?
if you're trying to save up money to maybe
do you
make
want?
that trip overseas to watch the Vikings,
Yeah, and then don't go to Norway. They won't be there.
no, go to North American Banking Company because they have one simple philosophy, and that's this: it's banking done differently. And you get that feeling anytime that you walk in any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. It doesn't matter whether you're in Roseville, 50th in France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, or Maple Grove. They offer all of the services as the other big national banks, whether you're looking to buy a home, maybe finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been dreaming about. My friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to help you out. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but with the unparalleled service of a community bank, and they are locally owned and operated. And here's why that's important. That means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So this helps business owners solve problems quickly and expand their business with confidence. And spring is here. So if you've got that new project that you've been thinking about or an expense coming up, then why not put your home's equity to work? And that's because a home equity line of credit from North American Banking Company is going to give you flexible access to funds when you need them most. And it doesn't matter whether it's a project at home or at the cabin, an unexpected expense or something else, their experts make it easy. So check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Once again, it's better banking and banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
Joe Souchere.
A sinking city, what he was thinking about,
What are you thinking about?
is a very real threat to millions of people living in the U.S., and not just on the coastal areas. Well, we see this on 7th Street in St. Paul. At least 20% of urban areas in all U.S. cities are sinking, according to estimates in a new study impacting approximately 34 million people. The study doesn't tell me who's doing the study. The study examined the 28 most populous cities in the country and found that 25 of those cities are experiencing sinking. 9 of those cities, New York, Chicago, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Columbus, Seattle, and Denver, are sinking faster than 2 millimeters a year. What's that? That's not very much.
It's not very, no.
3 cities with the highest rates of vertical land motion are all in Texas. Houston, Dallas, and Fort Worth, with Houston taking the cake with the fastest average sinking. Houston is actually sinking on average 5 millimeters per year, and 12% of the city is sinking at an astonishing rate of 10 millimeters per year. How much is 10 millimeters?
That's about 20 feet.
I got to call BS here. You
I'm
said
sorry. I'm reading the news.
You said 2 millimeters a year?
Yeah.
That's less. That's 0.0787 inches. Who the hell
Where did I
is
get
out
this?
there with a ruler going,
Who
up,
wrote-
she's
who wrote-
down?
What is this?
10 millimeters?
British Journal Nature Cities.
Get to the why.
10 millimeters is 0.033 feet.
You know, there's just
No.
nothing that they
Inches,
won't
right.
offer as hysteria.
Well, they're looking for government funding.
No, get to the why. Because I have a theory. But
Inches,
go
right?
ahead.
Not feet.
Well, subsidence, that's what it's called when you sink.
Yeah.
That poses a danger to cities, here comes your money, through 2 major avenues: increased risk of flooding and damage to infrastructure. Flooding may seem like the more impactful. It's a very visual threat with relatable dangers, but flood-related subsistence hazards only become a problem once the land is lowered below a critical threshold. Does it answer Kenny's question? Why are they sinking? What are you sinking about?
I know I can't stop thinking that myself.
No. Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Here it is, Kenny.
found it.
The main driving force behind the
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Fill, because so much fill was hauled in.
Incorrect. Dang it.
Lack of moisture.
Incorrect.
Yeah, climate. It's got to be climate.
The main driving force behind the subsidence is groundwater withdrawal, which accounts for approximately 80% of the subsidence.
Wait a minute. That's what I said.
As groundwater is pumped out of an aquifer, changes in pressure cause aquifer systems to compact, which leads to sinking of the Earth's surface.
Das hier ist mein Sektor. Das hier ist das
Yes.
wichtigste Gerät des Küstenwächters. Das Gerät.
Hello?
Mayday, mayday. Hello, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you... Over. We are sinking. We are sinking.
Hello?
Hello?
This is the German Coast Guard.
We are sinking. We're sinking.
What are you thinking about?
That never gets old.
Does it? And through this whole story, all I could think of is, what are you sinking?
But I
Let
love
me
the
ask you
nervous
something,
nature of, hello, this is the German Coast Guard.
I have an even more important question there, Mr. Science.
Yeah.
How come things that were on the surface back, like, say, in the 1920s are now buried under 5 feet of topsoil, 3 feet of topsoil? Why is that?
That would be your wind and your topsoil erosion in times of subsidence.
I'm digging a fire pit 2 years ago, my backyard.
What'd you find, a Roman castle?
A ton of antique glass bottles.
That's where people had a fire 100 years ago. Big deal.
From the late 1800s, early 1900s. And at first I'm going, well, this had to be where the outhouse was. And I was corrected and said, that's where the burning barrel was.
Mm-hmm.
And they just threw the glass right next to the burning barrel.
Sure.
Well, my question is, how did it end up 3 feet down?
It was
How did that
sinking.
happen?
A withdrawal of groundwater over the years.
I wish I would have thought of that. I would have said it on the air.
Yeah. Only because they come to us.
Wait. I have a public service announcement related to GL. 2 events we're going to be at coming up here. June 20th, the first day of Back to the 50s weekend. We will be there at the State Fair. At the State Fair grounds. We don't know where yet, but it's been confirmed we're going to be there. And then in July 12th, all of us are going to be at a very British car show. Event starts at noon on Saturday, and it's at Cedar Lake Speedway, and we are inviting everybody to stick around.
When are we there? Like 4-ish or something.
You are going to be there, correct?
Yes.
And you're going to drive one of your crap cans over,
I think
right?
I should.
Yeah. And it's just going to be a wonderful, fun event. And bring the family. And what you do, Matthew, I see you looking at me. Why would I go there? You're going to go tubing on the Apple River from noon to 4. And then you're going to come over to this car show.
But we're
Cedar
not
Lake
doing it.
Speedway.
We're not doing a podcast.
No, we're going to hang out.
We're
with the
saying how you
people.
doing.
Yeah, we're going to hang out. So 2 dates, June 20th and July 12th.
What's June 20th?
Well, back to the 50s.
Back to the 50s.
Friday.
Live on the fairgrounds.
It's going to be festive Friday.
Yep.
It's my anniversary, June 20th.
Is it?
Well,
How many years in, John?
Not that bad.
I am worried.
She'll be all right. You'll be all
worried
right.
about the roommate because July 12th is her birthday.
Yeah.
And she knows how to bend an elbow, if you know
Well,
what
just
I'm
tell her,
saying.
look what I'm giving you for your birthday. I'm getting you into the Cedar Lake Speedway.
But she can pull a cork, if you know what I'm
all right.
saying.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga Province, South Africa, from the Traveling Lyman.
Got it.
On this day,
May 14th.
oh, I got to always turn the page, don't I?
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
On this day in 1852, after weeks of rain, a mudslide covered much of Stillwater, destroyed barns, shops, homes, and 3 rafts of lumber, but injuring no one. 2 cars in a barn kept their feet during the...
Excuse me.
2 cows. Thank you, John.
Like a
2
joke.
cars in a barn kept their feet during the slide, and afterwards they walked out of a second-story window. In all, the slide covered 5 acres of ground to a depth of 1 to 20 feet. Here's answering your question, Kenny, how things get buried.
Okay.
Prior to the slide,
Sound like Chewbacca.
this land had been low and boggy, selling for about $1.25 an acre. After the slide, the land was more usable, and its value rose to $500 an acre. Most of the business area of present-day Stillwater is built on this location.
Seriously.
You're serious.
It was pretty intense.
I think that cow story's apocryphal. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I'm not believing it.
No, I can see that. 2 cows just came out the second-story window.
I just wanted to hear the cows
On
again.
this day,
May 14th.
in 1988, the University of Minnesota Law School had its 100th class graduates.
Amazing.
Minnesota Law School's 100th class graduates with 234 candidates, 98 women and 136 men. Boy, that made this day in history.
It was
Huh?
a big day.
On this day,
On May 14th.
in 2002, Prince released One Night Alone, his 25th studio album.
Wow.
That probably wouldn't have made my this day in history.
Was it his last one? Or was it?
No, it's 2002.
Okay.
And finally, on this day,
You're talking May 14th.
that's what I am. 2013, Minnesota became the 12th state to affirm marriage equality when Governor Mark Dayton signed and passed a bill allowing same-sex couples to marry. In 2012, Minnesota voters had rejected a proposed amendment to the state's constitution that would have limited marriage to heterosexual couples.
Isn't that the day then when Royce declared, now that she's legal, I'd like to sell my home to a nice gay couple?
He's been trying to peddle that home to a gay couple. Got a pool?
Yes, it is.
And then, of course, on this day in Minnesota sports disappointment history.
May 14th, who'd we lose to?
Well, on this day in 1982, the Twins and the Tigers got into 2 brawls.
Ooh.
I don't remember that.
That's all it's we have down here.
Were you still? You weren't covering the club then, were you? 82?
No.
Okay.
Yes, I would have been. I still hadn't been fired yet. So, on this day,
That's nice to know.
yeah, I still was employed then.
May 14th.
May 14th, 1990, Minnesota sports disappointment. The Vikings left for a Pecos, New Mexico ranch for a week-long retreat to end team discord.
Really?
Yeah.
In the off season, they were.
In May? They didn't even have mini camps in 1990.
Do you remember when our general manager, Heyman, did that with the entire staff of 1,500.
No, because I didn't go.
That's because 2 people didn't go.
Yeah. Me and who?
Rook.
Well, we were probably doing a show.
No.
It was on a Saturday, I'm sure.
What was it?
Where did he hold this?
Up at his place, up in Winter, Wisconsin.
Oh, I had a thing, I guess.
On a Saturday.
Big staff adventure. Joe and Rook said,
Hey, we got her.
Willie Clark showed up with a Cadillac. He opened the trunk. The whole thing was ice and booze. The whole trunk. No liner, no nothing. Just ice and booze.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you all stay overnight?
They stayed at a resort, and I stayed at Heyman's cabin.
I tried to get to Heyman's cabin one time with Joe O'Brien. We were motorcycling up there.
Yeah.
My bike conked out. Where's that little casino?
It's
Turtle Lake?
Turtle Lake? No, maybe.
It's got a funny little name right on 70.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but I know which one you mean.
And, it's motorcycle etiquette that you don't leave your guy behind.
Yeah.
But O'Brien stood around for a while and finally said, "Well, hell, I'll go to
It's like
Winters."
Top Gear.
Yeah.
It's like Top Gear. Just leave your partner
So I
stranded.
waited for a truck to come and get me for hours and hours and hours. And I thought, well, what the hell? I'll just go in this casino, watch a ball game, maybe have a cold one.
Yeah.
I walked in there. The cigarette smoke was so bad that I couldn't stay in there. So I went back out and sat in the lawn, at which point I was solicited by some people and wondering if I wanted to attend a party.
I go to a party.
And
go to a meth party?
And I thought,
we're going to burn some cars.
I can't really leave right now.
Where's the party?
Did you hear wah wah guitar all of a sudden?
I heard
banjo music.
Yeah, it was not good.
I'm furiously looking for that. St. Croix? No, it wasn't on. Yeah, it was on 70, right?
Yeah,
Hurdle? Could that be it? No.
Well, it was a very small casino.
Yeah,
very small.
East of Spoon.
A lot of lonely people.
Yeah.
And even I don't mind secondhand smoke, but that was outrageous. You couldn't breathe in there, I think it was one of those deals where you had a few of the clients were smoking through that hole in their throat.
The tracheotomy hole?
Oh, God.
Thank you, GLers.
Thank you indeed, GLers. Please do us a favor, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the Garage Logic YouTube channel, because on that YouTube channel each and every single day, you can watch the show starting right around noon, and you can also interact with the show live as we do the podcast. It's fantastic, and you can join the thousands of subscribers already on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. And you can follow us on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day. It includes the most recent episode of the podcast. And if you haven't upgraded to an annual town council membership, do so right now so that you are eligible to become the GLer of the week, where you get a special shout out from the mayor on... Well, it'll be tomorrow. Yeah.